Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Angie, a mixed media textile artist working primarily in fabric using dyes, printing, and stitching. Here we are at the start of a new year, 2020, and who'd have thought we got here? Because you remember when 2000 came along, well hell, the world was supposed to all fall apart, but here we are 20 years later, and it's still falling apart, but we're still here. So what I want to do in this video is take a look back at 2019, because for me 2019 was an amazing year. I'm calling it the year of learning because I learned so many things in 2019. It started in January when I started taking art classes at the local college. You see, here in the state of Florida, if you're 60 and older and you're a state resident, you can take classes at the colleges for free as long as there's space available. So I started taking 2 art classes. I took a drawing class and a printmaking class. I don't plan on getting a fine arts degree or anything like that. I'm taking these classes just to enhance my own art. So I'm hoping to gain something out of the classes that I can use in my textile art. So I want to go through the classes I took this year. So the first term, starting last January through May, I took 2 classes, drawing and printmaking. So I want to start with the printmaking class, and it was a fun class. I can't say that I feel like I've learned anything that I can use in my textile art, but you know what? I don't believe that's definite, because sometimes things that you learn, they're not obvious right at the beginning. You may discover yourself in a situation where you need some knowledge, and all of a sudden that little bit of knowledge in the back of your brain will come to the forefront, and it's exactly what you need. So I haven't totally washed that out. There were a few things about the class that I didn't like. One, we used oil-based inks, and the inks and the solvents, I just did not take too well to working with those. And secondly, we worked on paper. Well, paper does not behave like fabric, and so I had a difficult time with that. But I'm very confident that there's something I learned in that class that will come back and that I will be able to use. So in the class we did mono printing, which I've done mono printing before on fabric, so that wasn't new to me. We carved wooden blocks, we did etching and screen printing. The wooden blocks and etching, I didn't take too well to that because, first of all, you have to think backwards, and I had trouble with that. So let's just say the printmaking class, while I enjoyed it and it was fun, time will tell how much of it I will be able to use on my fabric. Now the second class is what I really signed up for, and that's drawing. I've wanted to draw all my life. Literally all my life that I can remember, and I just hadn't been able to do it. My husband's tried teaching me. I took a drawing class before and it was an absolute disaster, so I signed up for this drawing class again, and I just picked the class that fit my schedule, not knowing any of the professors. Well, let me tell you, I absolutely lucked out on the professor. This guy is just super talented. I'll put a link to his website down in the description below. He's very patient, knowledgeable, and his teaching style fit my personality just perfect. I'm going to say the class was fun, but let me tell you, it was stressful as hell. I had no drawing skills. I had to probably be the worst person to ever take one of his classes when it came to beginning drawing skills. And there were days of the class where I would just get so stressed out, I would have to get up and go to the bathroom and cry. Literally cry. I mean, tears. Okay, you see, I had to go to the bathroom because I was not going to sit in that class and let all of these young kids fresh out of high school who knew how to draw and just was there because they needed the credit. There was no way they were going to see this old lady sitting in class drawing. So I go in the bathroom, have my little fit, wipe my face, wash my face down so there was no evidence of tears, and I go back. Luckily, I don't wear makeup, so I didn't have to worry about smearing my makeup or anything like that. But it was stressful, but I didn't quit. I stuck with it because I was finally determined to learn how to draw. I'm embarrassed to do it, but here are a few pictures from that class. So let me warn you in advance, it's nothing earth-shattering. But you know what? At the end of the class, I knew how to draw. Not well, but I knew how to draw, and that was my goal. Now in the summer, I only took one class, and that was 2D design, which was a basic design course. we learned about the principles of design and the elements of design, which I already knew a lot about, but reinforcement never hurts. So here are a few of my favorite pieces from that class. I really enjoyed that class. The only downfall being in a summer class, it was half the amount of time, so we had to do the same amount of work in half the time. Luckily, I didn't have anything else on my schedule, so it was fine for me. Now fast forward to August of 2019, and it was time to sign up for classes again, and lo and behold, the stars all aligned and all that stuff, and all the classes that I had on my wish list was available, because to take these classes is a space available basis, and you have to wait till the Friday before classes start to register. So classes start on Monday. You have to go down to the registration office. There's all these old people like me sitting around trying to get in free classes. So all 4 of the classes that I wanted was still available. And I decided, let's just take all 4 of them. Why not? Well, in case you didn't know, 4 classes is considered a full-time load. So here I am, back to being a full-time student again. So let's start off with my least favorite classes of the 2, and that was digital drawing. I really had high hopes for this class, and I was so disappointed, just so disappointed. One of the main reasons I was disappointed, I just thought the professor was very half-assed. Her attitude was very half-assed. It was almost to me like she didn't really want to be there, okay? Now, I will admit that she was a last-minute hire because the instructor or the professor that was originally designed to teach that class got moved up as acting dean, so they had to go and find someone really quick. Well, to me it showed, because I don't really think she wanted to be there. During the digital drawing class, we spent 8 weeks on Adobe Illustrator and 8 weeks on Photoshop, and I was hoping to increase my skills in both of those programs. In the Illustrator class, I'm going to step out on a limb and say that I probably knew just as much, if not more, than the instructor did. There were times during the class when the 2 students on each side of me, I was spending more of my time during the class helping them than I was on my work, which was no big deal because they were friends of mine. I convinced them to take the class with me. So that was a big disappointment. I would have to say, I don't think my Illustrator skills improved much at all. Now on the Photoshop, my Photoshop skills were probably even less than my Illustrator skills. So I only used Photoshop for photo editing. I never used any of the drawing features. So I have to say I probably learned a little bit more than that, but none of the work we did appealed to me. And so all in all, I think that class was a bust. But luckily I didn't pay for it, so I'm trying not to complain too much. Now the next class I took was painting, which I took on a whim because it was open and because my favorite professor, my drawing professor, was teaching this class also. This class was super stressful. Not as stressful as drawing 1 was for me, because drawing is something I really wanted. Painting was just, oh, okay, this class is open, let's take it. I thought about quitting the class, but the professor talked me into staying, which I'm glad I did, even though I don't think my painting and skills improved very much. He says they did, but I don't know. It's just painting I found to be very different from drawing, and I just never got the feel of it. So, but I am open to taking it again, especially from him. So we shall see. It's only offered once a year in the fall, so we'll see when fall session comes around how I feel about it again. The third class I took was 3D design. So this was a continuation of the 2D design, but we were doing things in 3D, which was different from me. I have to say that I'm not sure how much I learned in the class I'll be able to use in my textile work, but it was a very interesting class. And this is a image of my favorite project from that class. This was wood. It started out as 8 by 8 pieces of plywood, 1/2-inch plywood that was laminated together until it was an 8 by 8 inch cube. And then the instructor took it to the bandsaw and just cut crazy wild shapes and curves. And then we had to take and put it together in some way. I really wanted to try to bandsaw, but they didn't want us. They thought we might cut off something that wouldn't grow back. So, and they were probably right. So it's a good thing they did all the cutting for us. So this was an interesting project because wood is just totally different from fabric. Okay. don't know how much of this I'll do again, probably none, but we'll see how much of it I learned. I have to say I did learn some stuff. I learned a lot about negative space in this class, so I'm sure I can use that knowledge in my artwork. So the last class that I want to talk about is Drawing 1. Yes, I decided to take Drawing 1 again, even after all the frustration that I had the first time. You see, I didn't think I was ready for Drawing 2 because Drawing 2 is figure drawing with the human body and live models, and I didn't think I was ready for that. The professor thought I was ready, but I knew deep down inside of me that I wasn't ready for it. And lucky for me, the class filled up and there was no space available, so I couldn't take it. So I decided, let's go ahead and take Drawing 1 again. So the first few classes was a little stressful, but not nearly as bad as it was the first time. I didn't cry at school. I did a little bit of crying at home, but not at school. One of my proudest project in the class was our perspective drawing of the hallway. So I'll put that up and you can see that. Hopefully you can see it. It's very light pencil, but I remember the first class drawing the hallway. It felt like I spent my entire life in that hallway trying to draw it. But this time, it wasn't nearly so bad. Only I didn't get to pick my hallway this time. Since I'd already gone through the class, the professor picked a hallway for me and picked the hardest hallway in the school. And I have to say, I did a damn good job of it, okay? And he thought I did a damn good job because my drawing actually made the student hallway gallery. So the school has, in the fine arts department, we have 2 buildings and they have hallway pin boards up in the hallway for each class, and the professor will pin up some of the best work of the students on the hallway. So my hallway drawing made the hallway. Yes, yes. And the next drawing that I'm putting up is an isometric drawing of a birdhouse. And this drawing was a turning point for me. Even though I was having a lot of trouble with it, with the roof, I would draw it and it didn't look right. I would erase it all, draw it again, it didn't look right, and repeat and repeat. And finally I went to my husband and asked him for help. He showed me what to do. I would go back and draw it and it didn't look right. I'd go back and he'd show me what to do and I'd draw it and it didn't look right. And finally he's not as patient as my instructor. So he just got tired and he finally said, "Angie, just do what I say." And I burst into tears. Of course, the poor guy, he feels bad because he thinks he hurt my feelings, but it wasn't that. And I explained to him that if I don't understand what I'm doing, I can't repeat it. And so I kept trying and trying and trying. And you know what? I finally just did what he said because eventually I ran out of time and the drawing had to be turned in. This drawing made the hallway. So obviously what I did was correct. But it bothered me that I didn't know why I was having so much trouble. A few days later, I finally figured it out. And you know what it was? I was making the classic mistake that beginner drawers make. I was drawing what I thought I saw instead of what I saw. You see, the overhang of the roof, I knew it was there and I knew I could see the bottom of the overhang. I could see it. Only thing is, I couldn't see it from the position and the direction that I was drawing the birdhouse from. But I knew it was there, and I'd be damn well if I wasn't going to draw it or try to draw it. And so that was my turning point. I finally realized that, you know what? It's right. You draw what you see, not what you think is there. So after that was the last time I cried over a project in that class. And after that, keeping that in mind, to draw what I see, not what I think is there, the rest of that class went fairly smooth. And a number of my drawings made the hallway. One of my favorite pieces is this white chalk skull on black paper. Absolutely one of my favorite pieces, and I'm going to frame this and give it to my husband. My next favorite piece was our pen and ink drawing, and most people do cross-hatching, but I love stippling, so I decided to do stippling. Now the instructor thought I was absolutely crazy. Okay, he even told my 3D design professor, "She's crazy." But I did the stippling and loved it, and he was amazed. So this drawing made the hallway. This is my favorite. I'm keeping this one. So that was my formal learning experience in a classroom situation where I was the student. In 2019, I had another learning experience, this time with me as the instructor. I got to teach a 5-day class on dyeing and printing on fabric at John C. Campbell Folk School, which is in Murphy, Georgia. And it's a place I've always wanted to go to take classes, but I found it kind of cool that I got to teach a class there. So I had 5 students, and I thought it was a fun class, and I think they thought it was a fun class, but it was a learning experience in a different way. This time I had to learn how to pull together a curriculum for 5 full days, how to do it in a logical order, and make sure there was time enough for everything that I wanted to cover and my students didn't get rushed and feel like they didn't have time to do things, but also not have a lot of time where we were just sitting around doing anything. So that was a very nice learning experience. Now, I've taught many a times, but it's usually only been a 1 or 2 day class. A 5-day class is something totally different, and I absolutely love doing it and hope to have more opportunities like that again in the future. Well, that's kind of a wrap-up of 2019 for me, my year of learning. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up and go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any new videos I upload. That's all for today. I hope to see you back here again sometime soon. But until then, have a beautiful day.